Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you work in IT support, engineering, or really any technical role, you already know that debugging code or fixing systems is honestly only half the battle. The other half? Debugging your communication. Because let's face it, a perfectly executed hotfix doesn't really matter if your update email causes a massive company-wide panic. So today, we're putting on our language coach hats to help you sound just as professional as your technical skills demand. Here's the game plan for today: describing problems, escalation and handoff, status updates, postmortems, and finally, a live scenario. Okay, let's dive right into this. You might be wondering, why does phrasing actually matter just as much as your technical chops? Well, in the fast-paced tech world, a poorly worded ticket is literally like throwing a wrench into the gears. It causes confusion, delays resolutions, and absolutely frustrates customers. The golden rule here is that clarity always beats complexity. You want to ditch those vague, one-word answers and start focusing on structured, impactful replies that actually drive action. So the absolute key here is that professional communication always front-loads these three specific elements to respect the reader's time. First up, context. Why are you writing this right now? Second, the change. What exactly are you reporting or proposing? And third, the expected outcome. What happens next? If you can master this simple pattern, your tickets are going to be read and acted upon instantly, totally eliminating that endless, frustrating back and forth. Number 1, describing the problem. When a system goes down, panic is the default, right? But listen to how replacing blunt panic with a quantified assessment completely changes the dynamic. Imagine blurting out, "The API is broken and we can't fix it quickly." It's vague, and frankly, it's a little scary. Now compare that to, "We've identified a critical issue with the API that requires immediate attention." Boom, that sounds like you are in full command of the ship. It frames the problem clearly and sets an immediate, realistic timeline. Let's upgrade some of those really common, vague complaints into precise language. Swapping a dismissive, "it's slow," for hard data, like, "We're seeing a 20% increase in API response times," instantly builds trust, doesn't it? And when you hit a wall, please don't just say, "I don't know." Invite collaboration instead. Ask them, "Could you walk me through what happened?" These are your first 4 essential phrases to start sounding like a senior pro. Before we move on, let's do a quick pronunciation pit stop. Latency. Lay-tency, the delay between a request and a response. Using the exact proper terminology, rather than just complaining the internet is lagging, ensures you sound completely authoritative on those crucial stakeholder calls. Number 2, escalation and handoff messages. Handing off a ticket shouldn't feel like dumping a radioactive problem on someone else's desk. Look at the difference in approach here. Demanding, "Fix this now," triggers instant defensiveness and just burns bridges. But the professional alternative? It's highly diplomatic. Saying it might be worth reassigning to a senior team member, acknowledges the troubleshooting that's already been done, and focuses entirely on the shared goal of getting the issue sorted out efficiently. Think of this as your cheat sheet for cross-team collaboration. A needy, "we need help," can easily be upgraded to "we'll need senior intervention ASAP." If a team is dragging their feet, objectively state, "flagging a ticket that's exceeded its SLA," rather than pointing fingers and whining, "You took too long." It's all about being objective, data-driven, and totally action-oriented when you're asking for an internal escalation. And remember, a highly structured handoff removes all ambiguity and guarantees the customer never has to repeat themselves. When you use that fantastic phrase, "context below," make sure you actually provide it. Give a quick one-sentence summary, list the steps you've already completed, and critically, note the customer's current mood. This is passing on a complete knowledge state, not just forwarding an empty ticket and crossing your fingers. Here is your second pronunciation tip: anomaly. Anomaly. Trust me on this one, telling a client we're investigating an anomaly sounds infinitely more professional than telling them the server's acting super weird right now. Number 3, status updates and ETAs. When things are broken, silence is absolutely your worst enemy. But a vague promise? That just creates uncertainty. A precise deadline completely removes customer anxiety. Soon means wildly different things to different people. But 3 p.m. EST? That's a concrete contract. It shows you are actively and confidently managing the situation. Notice how these professional alternatives focus entirely on ownership. Never just say, "Sorry for the delay." Explain exactly what happened and the exact steps you're taking to fix it right now. And if a major outage is dragging on, you've got to commit to a cadence.
Telling a client, I'll send an update in 15 minutes even if there's no change, is exactly the kind of proactive transparency that separates OK support from truly world-class engineering.
Number 4, postmortem and resolution summaries.
As a fire is finally put out, we transition to closing the loop. How you communicate right after an incident truly defines your team's culture. Stating the exact resolution builds long-term confidence. A simple, it's fixed, just leaves people wondering if it's going to break again tomorrow. But providing specific metrics, like response times are back to normal levels, proves the system is fully stable and verified.
These phrases beautifully shift the culture away from individual blame and straight towards systemic improvement. Vague statements like someone made a mistake absolutely need to be replaced by pinpointing the objective technical flaw. Empty promises like it won't happen again mean literally nothing unless you detail the actual safeguard you built. And hey, when you do make the wrong call, own the failure transparently. The deployment failure was my call and I own it. That builds immense, lasting respect.
Our final pronunciation tip for today, post-mortem. Post-mortem. This is the absolute cornerstone of modern engineering, and you have to emphasize the blameless part here. It's all about fixing failing systems and processes, never ever pointing fingers at individuals.
Number 5, live scenario payment outage. Okay, let's put it all together into one perfect professional update during a high-stress live payment outage. From identifying the problem without a hint of panic, to tactful escalation, to a proactive status update that totally kills anxiety, verifying the resolution, and finally closing the loop completely blamelessly, it is absolute night and day compared to a panicked, disorganized thread, right? So, here is my final question for you. Which of these 20 phrases will you use to upgrade your very next ticket today? And what lazy, panic-inducing phrase are you going to retire for good? Keep these in your back pocket and happy debugging.